title tonight is Should We Fear Artificial Intelligence? And I want to start with something familiar to us, and that is robots. What is a robot? A typical robot in an automotive factory. It's designed to do one or a few other jobs that used to be done by an intelligent human. A robot itself is not intelligent, but it simulates intelligence. There is no learning involved in what it does. And one of the most important things is that its simulated intelligence is decoupled from consciousness. It is an unconscious machine. And we move on now to artificial intelligence, which is not robotics. Robots are increasingly being fitted with AI systems. But in the abstract, an AI system uses mathematical algorithms, that is, set of step-by-step instructions. They're embedded in computer software, and the effect of it is to sort, filter, and select from, and this is crucial, a huge database. Artificial intelligence involves learning, in inverted commas. The system can learn to identify and interpret digital patterns, for example, images, sounds, speech, text, data, etc. And then it uses computer techniques to analyze a huge database statistically and estimate the probability of a particular hypothesis. So what this system does is to take information about the past, a lot of it, and makes decisions or predictions about the future. Now that sounds all very abstract, but we're totally familiar with it. Alexa and Siri are digital assistants, are AI systems. And it's perhaps easier to understand when we just go back a step to online shopping. For example, with Amazon. Each one of us leaves a track, and it's a track of data, what we bought, when we bought it, and that is built up as well as the information from millions of other people. So that when you just dip into Amazon and you think you're going to buy a new yacht, and so you have a look at the latest yachts in Bermuda, it won't surprise you tomorrow if suddenly up pops a little window and says, by the way, would you like to look at our latest range of yachts? That's an AI system that has been following you, tracking you, and filtering through all the information and predicting something that you might like to be interested in. Remember, as Roger Schank of Northwestern University wrote, cognition means thinking. Your machine is not thinking. When people say AI, they don't mean AI. What they mean is a lot of brute force computation. Perhaps the man who said it best is a professor from Alabama who gave a remarkable lecture in 1985 in Yale. And he said, it seems to me that a lot of needless debate could be avoided if AI researchers would admit that there are fundamental differences between machine intelligence and human intelligence, differences that cannot be overcome by any amount of research. In other words, the artificial in artificial intelligence is real. And that was the title of his article, and very interestingly, he was a Christian, and there were several Nobel Prize winners at that lecture in Yale, and one of them was the famous Sir John Eccles, who thought this was an excellent presentation. The artificial in artificial intelligence is real. So much for the things where we can see positive benefits, but dangers. But now we're going to come to something very different. And that is the quest for artificial general intelligence. That is building an AI system that equals or exceeds human capacities. In other words, constructing a super intelligence. And that is often referred to as transhumanism. We go beyond the human. Listen to the book of Revelation, written 20 centuries ago. Now this is imagery, but listen to it. It, that is the beast, deceives those who dwell on the earth, telling them to make an image for the beast that was wounded by the sword and yet lived. And it was allowed to give breath to the image of the beast, so that the image of the beast might even speak, and might cause those who would not worship the image of the beast to be slain. Also, it causes all to be marked on their right hand, so that no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark. That is the name of the beast and the number of his name. People often laugh at that. But this is the very scenario that will flow out of the current social control AI systems in China, which Tegmark singles out as an example of what might happen in the future. People say, but this is imagery. But just a minute. They obviously haven't listened to C.S. Lewis. Because C.S. Lewis points out that imagery and metaphor always stand for reality. There's always a reality behind them. So if we ask, what is this beast? The book of Revelation gives the answer in the very same context. Let's listen to it. This calls for wisdom. Let the one who is understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Please notice what it's not saying. It's not telling you who it is. It's telling you what it is. The beast is human. That is the central message of this. You know, historically, people have tried to decode this gematria, putting numbers for letters, and work out who it is. And they've been spectacularly successful. Hitler has been in, Stalin's been in, virtually everybody. But that isn't the point. Because you see, if this human who behaves like a beast is revealed by the power of Satan and controls the whole world, you'll not have to play guessing games with numbers to know who it is. It'll be obvious. The 666 will simply be a check. Do we take it seriously? This is the way that Tegmark starts his book, talking about Prometheus. Here we have it in Scripture. Why shouldn't we take Scripture seriously? I see no reason why not to. I see increasing reason to do that. That's the negative side, and it clearly is not a very pleasant prospect, although we can see what's happening in our world is moving very rapidly towards it. It is highly credible, and it's credible because Paul said to these people, it's already working in your own society. The Caesars were calling themselves gods, and they were insisting that the Christians bow down and worship, and many a Christian lost his or her life for refusing to do it. Now he says, you watch the trends in your society, this deification of emperors, watch where it goes. This is where it's going to go to. And here are the AGI people telling us exactly the same thing on the basis of our speculations. I think we need to take these texts much more seriously than we've ever done in the past. But there's good news, you know, because there's a divine upgrade phase 2.